What's going on, everyone? In today's episode, I'm going to show you all the difference that 15 years worth of gardening can make. That's right, we're taking a step back in time, and we started seeds exactly like we did 15 years ago, and we started seeds just a couple weeks ago. The results, pretty impressive. Let's go. So in both my hands here, I have tomato seedlings. Now these tomato seedlings, believe it or not, were started at exactly the same time, about 13 days ago. The only difference between this pot in my left hand and this pot in my right hand is 15 years worth of experience. So to make sure that results were fair and unbiased, I also did a second batch, just to make sure that if there was any outliers or if something went wrong, that we had good consistent results. In this container right here is everything that I did as a first-year gardener. In these two here, this is everything that I've learned and everything that I've changed over those 15 years, and it's quite a lot. And as you can see, the difference is astounding. You can clearly see a huge difference in the seedlings. Not only are they slightly yellow, they're a lot taller, a lot lankier, but they also are less green. They are way less further along in their development. And overall, I'd give this like a 95 out of 100 versus this. I'd be happy if I had it, but comparatively, this is probably maybe like a 50 to a 60 out of 100. A lot of improvement. So the first thing that I learned, and I think this makes the biggest difference in your overall plant health, is sifting your seed starting mix. Now, if you start with a very fine pre-sifted mix, that's great, that just saves you a step. But if you're going with an out-of-the-box seed starting mix, that's just like a potting mix that you're intending to start seeds in, I would highly recommend sifting that mix. There's gonna be so much stuff that gets in that mix that you don't want in your seed starting mix. Like all of this wood material here was in the seed starting mix that we sifted out. So the difference is that all of this junk is in these containers, but it's not in these containers. And that's great, because what I've found over the years is that the finer the mix you have, the better the roots can develop, the more the water can drain, and the less air gaps and kind of junk roots have to work around. So ultimately your plants are gonna be far healthier and they can develop far faster. All right, the next thing I learned is that pot size makes a huge difference. The larger the pot, the longer it takes water to evaporate, and you have a lot of stress put on your seedlings, especially if they're seedlings that don't like to be kept wet all the time. Specifically, peppers and tomatoes are really going to suffer. And I see a lot of gardeners that simply move their seeds right into a pot like this because they think it's gonna buy them time to not have to transplant as often. And true, they're not gonna be transplanted as often, but you could have a seedling like this or a seedling like this by simply having too big of a pot. And that's because all of that extra soil holds onto the water, right? It holds onto the water, and your plants are really going to suffer. The root development is gonna be far inferior. The overall growth is gonna be far less vigorous, and you're gonna find that you're gonna be suffering from things like damping off and root rot way more frequently. And you can tell, you can absolutely tell, it's crystal clear, the development is so much better in a smaller container. These seedlings are gonna live in this pot here for probably the next, I'd say 5 to 7 weeks. They probably won't be transplanted from this pot until they're ready to go in the garden. But if I need to, I could always move them from here into here. And that's a no-brainer. But that's only if I need to. Rather than say, I just don't want to have to worry about it, so I'm gonna put them in here. Your plants are really gonna suffer, clearly. And that was my train of thought. Again, I went back to my old videos as to how I first started seedlings. So I'm guilty of all these things. So don't feel bad if you've done this or have already done this year. There's still room to learn. So there's still time to fix these things. And I promise you, you're gonna be far better off. Now, the next thing that I learned made a huge difference with my overall plant health, and that's how I watered. Now, when I first started out gardening, I just assumed that if I watered my seedlings, they'd be happy. And as long as I watered them when they needed the water, everything would be fine. But how I watered made a big difference, and it overall changed completely how I grow my seedlings. So how I started was top watering. Now, top watering is, as the name implies, watering on top. Now, this is obviously not the worst thing in the world. If you know how to really control your water, you can make sure that you don't overwater. You can make sure that the seedlings stay properly hydrated. The problem is that it has a tendency to compact the soil. It also has a tendency to really wash soil around and work things, and they ultimately don't absorb water as well as had you learned bottom watering. Now, bottom watering makes sure that your plants get the adequate amount of water, exactly what they need, and you don't risk overwatering. See, the thing is that when you bottom water, rather than water on the top, you're just watering in a tray that doesn't have holes. And you're gonna fill that tray up, and your pots here are gonna sit in that water. They're gonna sit in that water, whether it's a bowl of water or a tray of water, and they're gonna wick that water up through the bottom of the pot due to capillary action. It's gonna wick that up, and it's actually going to train the roots to go down. Because you can think about it this way, a root's job is to find water. And if you water on the top, the roots are gonna stay on the top. It also is gonna keep the top drier, which cuts down on things like mold, mildew, and fungus gnats, which is a huge problem in a grow room, especially for beginning gardeners. Just bottom watering, I think, would take it from an E grade to probably like a D+. It's a massive jump up, and it's gonna make a huge difference in your overall plant health. All right, the next difference maker with my seedlings has been adding fertilizer to the seed starting mix. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Luke, I've heard that your seedlings don't need fertilizer when they first sprout, so why are you adding fertilizer? Well, it's because they don't when they first sprout, but after that, they need fertilizer. I will go on the record, completely transparent here, that I have used this myth numerous times in my beginning videos. 5, 7, 8 years ago, I was on the record as saying you don't need fertilizer in your seed starting mix. However, once your seedlings go past what's called the cotyledon stage, the cotyledon are the first set of seed leaves. After that point, they produce what's called true leaves or adult leaves. And that's where the plant actually needs nutrients. Those seed leaves is like kind of the remaining energy store from the seed itself. The seed contains all of the essential nutrients that plant needs to sprout and grow. But after it sprouts and grows and it starts to form adult leaves, that's where nutrients become important. And you can clearly tell, the color of the seedlings says it all, that one had fertilizer from the get-go, the other didn't have any. There's no fertilizer in this soil here, whereas in this soil, there was about a cup of Trifecta Plus added to about a gallon of soil, and used that in my seed starting mix. And you can clearly tell so much more green, so much stockier and healthier and vigorous, and it's ready to rock. So it just kind of goes to show that if you add a little fertilizer, it's gonna go a long way to increasing your plant health. All right, and the final big difference maker, and I think this makes one of the largest differences between this amazing seedling here and this kind of okay seedling here, were the lights that were used. So when I first started out gardening, much like a lot of you starting out gardening back in the mid-2000s or so, there really wasn't that much access to amazing grow light technology. When people were starting out seedlings, they typically would either put them in a bright sunny windowsill because compact fluorescence hadn't become that mainstream, or if they were using compact fluorescence, they were using fairly expensive coiled grow lights. They were like, it might be like a 5,000 Kelvin regular household light bulb socket, and you called it good and you kind of just pointed it down, you hung over like a metal reflector, and it was okay, it worked, but man, it was expensive, and boy, was it inefficient. But fast forward to today, where compact fluorescents even have become more efficient and higher powered, but we also have access to LEDs. The grow lights of today make a huge difference. I can't tell you how many gardeners write in using old video information from 10, 15 years ago, and they're using that information to base how they grow their seedlings now, and it simply is no comparison. And so if your seedlings look like this, there's some huge improvements you can make to get them to look like this. And if your seedlings do look like this one does though, it's still a seedling. It probably will still come around, and it'll probably turn out to be a perfectly fine tomato in the end. But what we're losing is precious time during the growing season, when I'm gonna move out a seedling that's 7, 8 inches tall, ready to rock, might already be flowering, versus a tomato seedling that's just kind of catching up, kind of struggling. And then finally, once it gets growing, you're gonna be like a month to month and a half behind. So this tomato, we're gonna be harvesting ripe tomatoes by like mid to late July. This one will probably be lucky if they stay the course, right? If nothing else changes, we're probably going to be lucky to be harvesting tomatoes by like early to mid-August. That makes a big difference with how much tomatoes you can grow during a season and overall the success of your garden. So there's been a ton that I've learned. This is actually really fun. This is such a fun experiment because it was kind of like going into a time capsule, and it's just incredible, the things that I've learned over the years. And so I hope you guys did enjoy. I hope you all learned something new. If you did, make sure to throw a comment down below, things that you've learned or some mistakes that you've made yourself. And also, if you've watched some of our older videos, I leave them up. I leave them up simply as a time capsule for myself, as well as you if you want some good entertainment. But I can safely say that don't rely completely on those older videos, because not only have I improved, but technology has also improved. But I'd encourage you to go take a trip down memory lane and watch some of those older videos. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully you all enjoyed, and grow bigger. Take care. Bye.